Good afternoon. My name is Tope Karim. I'm a student of University of Houston, Victoria. I'm studying towards a bachelor's degree in arts and applied sciences, and I major in network and security. I I work for one of the major mobile network service provider in Houston here, and I'm a switch engineer. I've been in this role for a couple of years, 5 years to be precise. What I do at work is to configure switches, routers, and to ensure that services are deployed to the end user. And I do troubleshoot network issues whenever there is a problem. It could be a fiber issue or a transport issue. It might even be a routing issue in the network. I ensure that the necessary tools are employed to be able to uh, correct these errors so that we can provide network connectivity to our customer. Today, I'll be talking about a topic that is very fundamental in the field of computer forensic and so dear to my heart as well. The topic is anti-forensic and counter-forensic techniques. That's the topic I'll be talking about. Uh, as far as this topic is concerned, I will be exploring how attackers hide and obfuscate digital evidences. And at the same time, I will also delve into how the forensic analysts use different advanced techniques to be able to uncover those hidden digital evidences. This is crucial for combating, evolving cybercrime. So, in order to do this, we quickly go through the overview of anti-forensic itself. After that, I will go into discussing how attackers wipe out disk or data in the hard drive and overwriting the disk itself in order to prevent uh, any detection of the evidences in those hard drive. After that, I will move into the techniques of encryptions. I will look at encryptions and program packers. Immediately after that, I will step into what is referred to as steganography and compression techniques as one of the methods by which attackers use in making the life of analysts, cumbersome in the detection of crimes. Then after that, I will move into what is called time stopping and log manipulations. How attackers go one step further to confuse the analyst by manipulating the log files, making their job an Herculean task as well. Then after all this has been done, then I will have to go into discussing the advanced techniques the analysts use in uncovering all these activities, all these anti-forensic activities performed by the attackers. So we'll be discussing a couple of them, a couple of those analyst techniques. Then the third part of my presentation will delve into what I refer to as the reason why it matters, why anti-forensic activities, why it matters to the analyst itself and to the societies in general. And I'll wrap it up by discussing any questions that may arise during the course of my presentation. Okay, the first thing to do is to go into what I describe as the overview itself. Okay, on the overview part, I want to clearly state this. The goal of uh, any attackers or anti-forensics, there's only one goal they have in mind, and the goal is to, obstruct investigations. Okay, uh, they know quite all right that there is likelihood of being caught when these cyber crimes are being perpetrated. So what they do is that they will try as much as possible, either before the attack is launched or after the attack is launched, they try as much as possible to hide this information. So their major goal is always to hide all these information or obstruct investigations so that even if the investigation is being carried out, they want to be sure that they won't be caught. Okay, in their activities that they perform. So yeah, they employ different techniques, to mislead or entirely obstruct the digital forensic investigation. They employ so many techniques in doing that. Okay, one of the techniques is to hide all forms of traces. Okay, or they can hide all forms of traces. And their primary goal there was to conceal the attacker's identity. By hiding traces, they can either hide the identity, so that they won't know who they are. Okay, it could be in terms of the IP of the network, IP of the computer, of the host computer they are using. They try as much as possible to hide the IP so that analysts will not be able to trace the IP to them. Okay, they can do that. They can as well hide their action as well. Whatever they are doing in the network, they can also act. They can also hide it. Okay, and another thing is that even the evidence that will point to them, they try as much as possible either to destroy the evidence entirely, okay, either or to hide the evidence from the eyes of the attacker, or to even frustrate the analyst from pursuing or from finding the evidence. Those are the things that they do under hiding of traces. Okay. Uh, then another thing they do is that there are various categories. Okay, that various categories uh, of by which these attackers launch their nefarious activities in the network. One, they can introduce malware in the network. Okay, they can introduce malware in the network. Fine. They can as well introduce phishing scam. Okay. Also, they can employ brute force attack as well. They can as well exploit any software vulnerability in the network. They can do that as well. They can use the techniques called man in the middle of attack, man in the middle attack as well, to be able to launch an attack. And the most popular one these days is they can also use social engineering in being able to do this. Okay, when we talk about the malware attack, we're talking about either introducing viruses into the network. They can design or write a virus, program, and introduce this virus into the network, to do any damages, to do some kind of damages to the network. We see this during the class whereby we wrote we wrote a virus file that was introduced in one of the practical that we did in the class. We wrote a virus program to overwhelm the network. So imagine if this were to be a production network, and we wrote this virus file and introduced into the network that overwhelm the entire network, that nobody can work during that period. It can be very financially, it can have a very serious financial impact on the company itself. Okay, most of this kind of thing is always being done by a disgruntled employee who has been laid off and he felt slighted. So you might decide to gain access to the network and write a virus program, introduce into the network, overwhelm the network, ensuring that the company also actually paid for laying him or her off. Okay, so another thing is phishing. Okay, apart from virus, they can also use ransomware. Ransomware can also be used as well. This is a kind of a malware whereby an attacker will actually disrupt the network and insist on being paid before it can release the network, So yeah, he will actually want them to pay ransom to him before he can undo whatever he has done in the network. So that's another one. There's another one, popular one called Trojan horse, malware as well. Okay, in this case, a legitimate or unsuspecting application, can be used as a decoy, to be introduced to the network and causing damages to the network as well. So these are all under malware. Then phishing scam is very prevalent these days. We have it in email scam. You see, you send a very a very a very nice quote and unquote email is sent to you, pretending to be who they are not, and an unsuspecting recipient of the email click on the email, and so many things can happen. The clicking of the email can lead into the explosion of bomb into your network, releasing viruses into your network. It might even cost you money. They can do and undo with those phishing emails. So you need to be very careful when you are opening an email from an unknown person. So you need to be very careful during those times. Okay, another one is the brute force. This one, its major goal is just to overwhelm your network. They can run, some kind of command on in your network that will practically render everyone in that network, every host in that network, render them useless. They will not be able to do anything, by overwhelming the network. Okay, another one, just to save time in there, is the exploitation of the software vulnerability. This is also very important. So, and this is very technical, because before you can be able to detect any vulnerability in the network, you will have to be able to study in the software. Vulnerability in the software, you will have to study the software itself to be able to identify the line of code that you think is not properly written, or that has some kind of ambiguity, such that when you attack that particular vulnerability, you will be able to render the software either completely useless or use it as a way to rewrite the code in order to be able to do some kind of damages to the network. So this is also very technical. Then another one is the man in the middle of attack. This is also very technical, whereby an unsuspecting attacker will capture the IP or the messages, or the packet that is moving from the source to the destination. Capture that kind of traffic, extract the destination IP address, such that when the source sends a message to the intended recipient, the source won't know that the message was not actually going to the intended recipient, rather it's going to the attacker. So attacker is able to modify this packet and send a reply back to the source, pretending to be the intended recipient. And by doing this, so many things can be done. You can request for money, you can request for file, you can request for anything from the unsuspecting source. So this can also cause a lot of damage. Another popular one, like I said a few minutes ago, is social engineering. This is very prevalent these days, where people just send an anonymous call to you, and you pick up your phone and you talk to them. They sound very friendly, they sound very warm, they sound very professional, and they trick you into releasing your vital information to them. And by doing this, they can wreak havoc on you as well. Okay, so moving on, then we'll move into the techniques of wiping disk or data, or overwriting it. This is a very, very dangerous activities of the attackers or anti-forensic. What they do is that the attacker employ specialized tools. They normally use a specialized tool like killed disk, or I thing called drive wiper, something like that. So these specialized tools are used to securely erase any information in the entire drive. All the information that are written in the drive will be completely erased. And they do this multiple of times such that they will be able to render the retrieval of information from these keys an accurate task. So if they write on it, they overwrite on this particular disk, when an analyst is trying to pull information or recover information from such a disk, will be very difficult. Even if they decide to use a more specialized tools as well, they still find it difficult, to be able to do this. We will look at various methods by which they use the analysts use to be able to combat this in a moment. Okay, another important discussion is encryption. Encryption itself, okay, it's just a way of scrambling data, okay, making it unreadable for anyone. So what we do is that they introduce a couple of padding bits into a packet of information, and in this way they scramble this digit and making it very difficult. So without the correct decryption key rather, anyone will not be able to access the information on that particular maybe it could be an hard disk and things like that. So an information itself can be encrypted, or the entire disk as well can be encrypted, depending on what they have in mind. So basically, they need whoever that wants to have access to that particular, whether the data or the system itself, will need to have a decryption key for them to be able to access the data store or the entire storage device. So that's one thing. So we call it an encryption nightmare. So encryption is very, very dangerous. So once an attacker gets hold of your file, of your system, you could decide to encrypt it, depending on the level of encryption, so that the information remain useless to you, the owner of the information, is that you will not be able to access your own information. So, and this is where the concept of ransomware that I discussed in my previous slide comes into being. So when they get to have that information from you, whether through introducing a malware into your network or otherwise, what they do is to encrypt those information. Once this information is encrypted, you, the original owner of the information, should not be able to have access to your information. So they will not demand on you to release some fund for them in order for them to release your information. Otherwise, you will not be able to have access to your own information. It's very sad. It's not something to be laughed about. So another important one is called file hiding. So they can have a full volume encryption. Like I said, it could be a full volume encryption, not just encrypting the data itself, but encrypting the entire device. So using some specific tools, and these things are these files or information are very sensitive, and that is it. So all these are done in order to invade detection. So they can do that in order to invade detection. Okay, another important aspect of this presentation is to talk about what we refer to as steganography and compression. Okay, we had a lab on this particular topic, steganography and compression. Basically, what steganography is talking about is a way by which an attacker embedded and hidden information. Okay, embedded and hidden information, right? And hidden information or hidden data within a seemingly harmless file, like a music file, a video file, something which you would not even detect. So they hide some kind of information within those data that you may not be able to detect. They can even be an image. They can have an image of someone popular in the society. Maybe it's even the president of the country, Donald Trump. So a steganography, what they do is to hide some kind of information on that picture, and you will be looking at the picture, but not knowing that behind the picture there is an information stored there, unless you have the appropriate tools to be able to diagnose that picture. You will not be able to find the information written there. Another one that is similar to this is compression file. So normally we have compression tools like a WinZip or PKZip or any kind of compression file that we may have. So the purpose of the compression file is to reduce the size of the file to a sizable quantity, so that we'll be able to send it through a network. So what the attacker does as well is that they make it very complicated for the analyst, to decompress this file, So because first they compress the file. So before anyone can be able to have access to the content of that particular file, it has to be decrypted. So when this file is compressed in such a way that it becomes very difficult for the analyst to be able to decompress it and reconstruct the original data structure itself. So that's another thing. So both techniques, steganography and decompression, add significant delay on the outright or outright prevention, of forensic decoding and evidence extraction. So all these things is a way by which to make the life of an analyst very difficult, in real life. Okay, another techniques that attackers are using to be able to, hide evidences is called time stopping and log manipulations. Both, in both, what they do in time stopping is to alter the timestamp on any metadata. They hide the timestamp. Okay, because when an investigation is to be performed, we want to know what happened at what time, chronological order. What happened at 2 o'clock, at 2:30, what happened at 2:30, what happened at 2:45, what happened at 3 o'clock, what happened, so that the sequential event will be able to an analyst will be able to explain the event, explain the evidence, explain or the occurrence based on the list of events and their respective timestamp. But with these techniques of time stopping, they alter this particular timestamp, and once the timestamp is altered, it becomes extremely difficult for the analyst to be able to have the pieces together and to perform their investigation. Okay, so with this, there's a way by which analysts can use to validate this timestamp. What they do is that they can collect multiple evidences or multiple files, and compare the file. Then they'll be able to notice any inconsistency in these in the timing. Okay, so that will help them to be able to know whether certain files or certain timestamp or are being falsified. So they do that. So basically what they do is just to obscure the chronological arrangement of all the timestamps. So that's all they do. Okay, with log manipulation, okay, when there's an event, this happens a lot during the network troubleshooting. Okay, when there is a problem, what we want to know is, because almost all event that happens in the network is being logged. Okay, if log files are created, those events are being logged. Okay, so let's say somebody accidentally deleted a file, which is going to cost the government or the organization a huge loss on that day. So, and they want to know exactly who did this. So what they need to do is just to go to the log file and check the log file and find out, okay, what was done. Okay, they can do that. Another thing they use log file to do is that they can use it to undo or to solve the problem. So if we know what happened before the problem happens, then all we need to do is to go back there and undo what was done in order to resolve the problem. So with attackers, they manipulate this log, and some of them even delete the log entirely. I mean, when the log is deleted, we didn't know, we would not be able to know exactly what happened. So to fix it, even though we might end up fixing the problem, it's going to be a very difficult task. It's like working in the dark. You don't know exactly you are just going to be trying this and trying that. And remember, some of these activities are time conscious. So you don't want to, maybe let's say it's even money, finances, it could cause a financial loss. Not only financial loss, it could have something to do with health, the health, or the saving the health, saving life, or things like that. So if we don't know exactly what was done, to be able to restore the system back into its original state, we might waste a lot of time while we're just walking in the wilderness. So one of the things by which attackers does is to delete or manipulate. If they want to make it funny, if they don't want to be seen, or if they don't want to actually delete, okay, for whatever reason, they can manipulate the log file. They can change the timestamp on the log file. They can rearrange the chronological order of the log files such that it will not make sense to whoever that is trying to analyze the log as well. So this is also in an attempt to evade or hinder investigation. So all these things are there. So that's why I call it time stopping and log manipulation. So yeah, and that's the slide that you are looking at right there. So another important part, now that we have taken our time to discuss all the various techniques by which attackers use or are using to frustrate the effort of the analyst, now it is time for us to look at what are the techniques the analysts are using, the advanced techniques the analysts are using to combat all these intricacies of the attackers. A way of doing that is to start this way. So in this particular slide, I discuss all those techniques. The first one is called reliable artifacts, followed by cross validations, followed by advanced tools. Very important part, the tools, because practically you can't do anything if you don't have the tools, and not just the tool, but advanced tools, because as the attackers are also improving on their techniques, of attacking, same way the analysts must also put in a lot of effort to develop sophisticated tools to be able to to counter the attackers. So another one is called continuous learning, which I've just explained now, and the last one is called secure backups. So that is also another important one. Okay, starting with the reliable artifact. So this one leverage on, you remember I told you that they can do a lot of things to the files that we have. They can change the timestamp on the file. They can actually delete the file, log file, entirely. So by trying to create a file using the dollar sign that I've indicated there, okay, file underscore name, where name is the name of the file, so attackers, this is immutable to change. So attacker may not be able to change the log file or the file itself, okay. So in case of that, so they use these techniques, called reliable artifacts to prevent the change of the file names. Okay. Another one is called cross validation. In cross validation, they verify the findings by comparing multiple data sources and system logs. Remember I told you that in term stopping, they use term stopping to alter the timestamp on every metadata or on the metadata. So in order to be able to prevent this, one way by which the analyst does this is to make sure they compare a couple of files, So with not just a single file they are investigating, they compare another file to another file, maybe about they cross-examine like about 5 files talking about the same thing. Okay, imagine a couple of us are working in the same office, okay, and the attacker, okay, manipulates the timestamp on one person's computer for a particular file. So what the analyst will do will be able to, for the same file that is being shared across the network, they look at the file, from other sources as well, and they will be able to compare. So they do this cross-validation a lot in order to dictate any manipulation of the timestamp on the file. Okay. Another one is called the advanced tools. Okay, this is not exclusive list of exhaustive list of all the tools available in the market as of today. So what the analyst does, the analysts do is to utilize a specialized recovery tools for overwriting and for encryption, like I explained to you the previous times about the techniques of encryption and the techniques of overwriting or wiping out of information on the file. Okay, so there are various techniques that analysts can use in being able to recover those information. One of them is called disk drill. That one we talked about it the first in our I think in our fourth slide, where I was talking about the disk data and wiping and overwriting. Okay, so they can use disk drill for recovering of various files. There's another one called Is US, Is Us. Okay, they call it Is Us. So this is also used as a very specialized data recovery tools as well. There's another one we call text disk. Okay, so this is also being used to recover, or fix any partitioning on a disk as well. This is being used to do that. There's another one called PhotoRec. PhotoRec is used mainly for images. So any image that has been deleted, in the system, this particular tool is able to recover those images so that we can see what happened. Let's say we're talking about an image of pornographic images, or the images of child pornography or things like that. So because the attackers, or because the cyber criminal knows that the investigation is on his way, or the investigator are coming, he quickly went inside and deleted all the files, all the pictures, all the stuff that they have on their PC. With these particular tools, we're able to recover all these images from the hard drive. So that's another one is called Disk Genesis. Okay, all these are listed there. Disk Genesis is also used, to as a partitioning manager as well. Okay, Disk Genesis are being used as a partitioning manager. I'm still looking for a copy of that. I learned from a colleague that there is a free version of that one can download. So it would be nice for me to have a look at it and perform some exercise on that. Okay. All right. Having discussed so far, we have discussed all the various techniques by which the attackers use, either to evade, or to evade the analysts, hide their traces, and so on and so forth. So we have discussed all that techniques. Encrypt the hard drive or encrypt the information, manipulate the law using steganography and compression techniques and things like that. So we have discussed all that, and we have also discussed the countermeasures, various countermeasures, which also include continuous learning as well, for you to be able to, for the analyst to be able to be one step ahead of the attackers. You will also need to continually learning new techniques, new things, new ways by which they do things as well. It's very essential. You can't just sit down. You, as an analyst, you continuously conducting research, into ways and manners by which these attackers are doing their stuff, and you want to be as much as possible one step ahead of them. Then finally, we also talk about backups as well. This is also very important these days now. So, and with this emerging technology of cloud, so you not only have your file saved on your disk at home, you can also upload the same file in the cloud. In an event that the attacker came into your home, search your home or do whatever, they take away your laptops and everything, but you still know that a couple of the vital files or information are stored in the cloud. So you can always, download those information that you have already uploaded into the cloud and things like that. So these are all the ways by which analysts are using also to combat the nefarious activities of the attackers. Okay, now it's time for us to discuss the relevance of this exercise. Why is it very important that we master anti-forensic activities? That the analyst, do. Why should the analyst focus more on the activities of the anti-forensic? Okay, why does it matter? Why does these activities matter? Okay, one of the reasons why it matters is most of the time it involves what we refer to as sophisticated threats. Yes, cybercrime is not a joke. It costs the government and the community in an excess of billions of dollars every year. Imagine, this money can be put into better use. So it's not just a joke, it's a sophisticated threat that should be looked into. Another reason why it matters a lot is to uncover evidence. This is very, very important. Many innocent people are being punished today for the crime they know nothing about. So it is very essential that these people are nailed. The actual perpetrator is found, or are found, and they are nailed down. Okay, so rather than an innocent person being punished, being rotting in jail, so through the activities of the analysts can provide or uncovered evidences for them to be able to make the perpetrator pay for the evils that they have done. Another important reason why the study of anti-forensic activities matters is because of the attribution and remediation. This enables accurate perpetrator identification and effective recovery. Yes, that's exactly what I've just said previously. So the actual person committed offense. This will help us to be able to identify the actual person committed the offense and melted with appropriate punishment rather than allowing an innocent person to suffer for nothing. Yeah, another important reason why it is very important that we study the activities of the anti-forensics is for future profiling. This is also very important. It prepares analysts for complex, evolving cyber investigation, and that's what I said when I was mentioning about the need for continuous learning. So, if you continue to learn the techniques, the ways of doing things, so with these we will be able to be prepared for the future, even when the crime has not happened. We already have an idea of how we're going to combat it when this thing happens eventually. So it's very important we we continue to master anti-forensic activity as well. So for future profiling. And finally, another reason why it is important for us to monitor or to continuously monitor the activities of the anti-forensic. Why anti-forensic matters, or why mastering anti-forensic, why this topic is very important for us, is it is a critical skill that anyone that is thinking of furthering his career in computer forensic, these activities is a critical skill that is needed by the country. The FBI needs this, needs people that have this critical skill. The police need this skill. In fact, virtually all the law enforcement agencies need it. Even the judicial system as well. They need people with this skill as well. So it's an indispensable for an advanced digital forensic professional. Every forensic, every advanced digital forensic professional must hone this skill in order for them to be able to succeed in their career. So, having said all these things, I want to believe that I've been able to broaden your mind on the activities of the anti-forensic and the countermeasures that the analysts are using to combat all these activities. And at the end of the day, I also spoke about why mastering these forensic activity, why it matters. And I discussed a couple of points. This is by no means exhaustive anyway, but good enough to be able to broaden our mind into the reason why we should, we should endeavor to hone this skill at the end of the day. So that will be all. If there is any question, feel free to email me or send me a DM. I will respond to you as soon as I can. Thank you and goodbye.